Hi, this is Savannah Saunders from The Wonderful World of Dance, and today I'm absolutely thrilled to be in the studios of Sydney Dance Company with artistic director, choreographer, and curator Rafael Bonachela. For those who haven't been down to Australia, let me describe Sydney Dance Company's incredible studios. We are a short walk from the iconic Sydney Opera House and under the glare of the Sydney Harbour Bridge. Housed in an old wharf on the Sydney Harbour, the studio and theatre is both breathtaking and understated and embedded in the history of this stunning city. Hi, Rafael. Thank you so much for joining us, taking time from your rehearsals.
Hello, Savannah. It's my absolute pleasure meeting you and chatting to you.
It's a rainy day in Sydney, but it's a great day. So this week, Sydney Dance Company is having their opening night at the Sydney Opera House as part of their 50th anniversary, with a thrilling triple bill called Ascent, which is co-commissioned by the Canberra Theatre Centre, where they have just been performing. So I'd love to hear all about Ascent. Tell me about the triple bill.
Look, Ascent was last year when I was thinking about, how do we call this program, where we're going to have two world premieres and then the return of a work by Antony Hamilton. And I said, look, we need to start on a high. I think the last couple of years have been too hard for everybody. And also we were back at the Opera House, etc. So I was like, let's ascend. And then hopefully the audiences will be taking that journey with us as they enjoy the evening and they see the evening. And they would be elevated, through movement and dance and what we do. So Ascend has a world premiere from Marina Mascarell. Marina met the company in 2019 when we were on a tour in Europe. She came to Austria and the conversations started then. Then I have created a new work also for the evening, a short work, a 13-minute work called Am-ness. And then there is a work called Forever and Ever, which is award-winning, a smash hit by Antony Hamilton that we commissioned and premiered in 2018. And I've been dying to bring it back since then. It only was performed in Sydney, and I want to take to the rest of Australia and the world. And finally, it's happening, and it's on stage, and it's looking amazing. So I'm very, very proud and really happy about the evening.
It sounds absolutely fantastic. I can't wait to see it later this week. So you've been the artistic director here at Sydney Dance Company since 2009, and you're originally from Spain, of course. What has been your vision for the company?
When I first arrived to Sydney, I was first invited as a guest choreographer in 2008. And whilst I was here, they told me they were looking for an artistic director. I had been living in London for 20 years, all of my life, and I had my little company, Bonachela Dance Company, with my dancers, etc. And for me, it was like, no. At very first, I had never thought about that sort of move. And then, as you just described, the Sydney Dance Company studios and where we are in this harbour, which is like nothing I have ever experienced before anywhere in the world when we talk about dance and dance studios. I think after a month, I was like, oh, maybe I see myself living here. Having been born in Barcelona, and so on, and the light and the sun, and of course, also a company that's been around now for over 50 years and it's so loved here in Australia. And I did my interview. Darcy Basson was one of the board members at the time. She had moved to Australia, so she was in the committee of selection for the artistic directorship. And my proposition to the board and the selection panel was that Sydney Dance Company would be, under my artistic directorship, a company where I would, of course, create work because I'm passionate choreographer, but I would commission the work of choreographers that I respect and I admire. So I have since been, always on the lookout for what's out there. Choreographers that have never been to Australia, like Marina Mascarell, creating work for us and being seen right now for the first time. Then us also commissioning Australian choreographers whose work maybe don't get to be seen so much overseas. And then we can take their work, to Europe and America or whatever. So yes, this incredible company for me had to be repertoire of new works. Also, we have done a few what I call masterful works, like Quintet by William Forsythe, Cacti by Alexander Ekman. So not a lot, but if we have done some existing works, have been works that I have either changed my life in one way or I knew that it would bring something to Australian audiences, but then also to the company, to the dancers. Because every time these dancers work with a new choreographer, when the choreographer leaves, I am left with better dancers. Dancers that have learned so much, that have been fed, physically and intellectually different information from different people. And, and that's such a gift for me, for them, and for everyone.
Yeah, absolutely. And I was reading about your career when you were a dancer yourself, and of course you've mentioned Matt's Egg. His work is just astounding, but also you've danced works by Christopher Bruce, Jerry Killian, Twala Tharp. The list is endless. So I can see how you're influenced in terms of the work that you want to bring to the dancers and to Australia. With the company made up of 17 dancers, what qualities do you feel define the dancers for Sydney Dance Company? What makes them uniquely Australian as well?
Look, I have always said that I'm interested in dancers that, have, with intelligent bodies and open minds. So they all come from very different backgrounds. You have some of the dancers in the company that have done their full ballet career in ballet companies, but have always been seduced by contemporary or elements of contemporary dance and then have wanted to make that move. There is dancers that come straight from schools where they have, of course, been trained in all techniques, but maybe contemporary is more the way that they move and what is more natural to them. So I am looking for a company that's diverse, where people come from many different backgrounds so that everyone can learn from each other. And as long as you know who you are, you're confident within yourself of what you can give, and you're open to learning, and you're opening to, you don't have to know everything, because I don't know everything, but you have to certainly be open to it. And I think Australia is a country that's so diverse, from so many people have come here from so many different backgrounds, that so many different places from around the world. And, I'm one of them, only 14 years here, but still, I'm Australian now. And it's that thing about, I sometimes look at the company on stage and I think, that's such a reflection of modern Australia, which is a country that's incredibly diverse and wonderful.
You mentioned that you spent, 20 years in London. Tell me about how that experience in the last 14 years here has influenced your own creations, your own approach to choreography, and perhaps to the work that you're showing this week.
Look, London, I went to London dreaming to dance, like the whole choreography was something that I loved doing always, but it was like a playing game thing that, dance was, I started dancing quite late in terms of formally taking a dance class. I was 15.
Oh.
So I danced all my life, but I didn't know that this was called a PA and this was called a John. And then I was like, oh my God, this has names and we can train and you can, potentially earn your living. And I moved to London and I did that, which was like something I never even dreamt that I could maybe do. And I was so lucky that I got the job at Rounded. I got it with Richard Olstein. And then within a year, then Christopher Bruce came. And I was so I couldn't believe that it was happening to me. Like when I joined Rounded, I hadn't even seen that because I couldn't afford it. I still in London, counting everybody, working in a theater as an usher and just everything. But there was this dream that I had always had to dance. And suddenly I knew that contemporary dance was my thing. Yeah. And when I was in London training at the Noble City Centre for 3 years, I was doing every ballet class and every contemporary dance class and just on Fridays just for being fun, and everything. But I didn't know when I would end up. So Rambert was, in a way, nothing that I had planned, but the best gift I could have been ever given for somebody that wanted and had this desire to also choreograph. Because in a way, I never went to choreographic school, but I had the privilege to work with some of the greatest leading choreographers. And then in many different ways, and then also learn some repertoire. I remember we did that a lot. And I was there for 12 years.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, I was just so hungry to learn all of the strategies and ways and forms and this and that. And then I started my own dance company. And that was my, way of starting to find my own voice in a way. And you have so much of, I hope, and I do have so much of everyone I have worked with in my entire career. But as you then, just do it more and more and more. And then I moved to the other side of the world, which, was Australian. And I was given this other gift, which is 16, 17 dancers, that are luckily, employed full time, looked after because they work so hard and so they should, and working, and now my last work was on Am-ness. I do see my work from, I don't know, however many years ago, and my work now, and it feels and it looks, and I feel like it's an evolution in the way that the dancers move and I approach movement, because I've just been given this opportunity to practice the craft. And with choreography, you need dancers. You can think about it as much as you want. You can also, go into the studio and play yourself or in living room or whatever. But at the end of the day, it is that moment in the studio with these human beings that are incredible minds and bodies, which, that's where Am-ness comes from, because it is really a concept that I've never even heard of until recently when I was searching into this new world. And Am-ness means, it allows us to express that we're physical and we're conscious at once, so that we as humans are not just a body or a mind, but we're a body and mind. And I thought, wow, that's such a beautiful thing, because that's what dancers are. And they're good at it. And they're like, that's what they spend their life doing. So I felt, because it was a short work, only 13 minutes, and I had these 4 incredible dancers that I decided to make the work on, that the whole approach to it would be that sense of like, I am, this body that I have trained since I'm 3 in some cases. Only we forget that start quite early, but I'm also not just, I am so much more than that. And my mind, my conscious, my subjectivity, the decisions that I make, the things that I think about are part of my artistry where I am. And, it's 4 dancers as this individual, unique artists, but also coming together as one breath and one beating heart. So that's what it all sort of happened. And I'm very proud of it. You're going to see them. Tell me what.
I'm sure it'll be fantastic. And what's your process in terms of approaching new work? You mentioned obviously the research, but when you go into the studios and work with the dancers, do you have set steps, or do you co-create? What is your process?
So look, for this one, it's a little bit different from work to work depending on all of the elements. For this one, I have the music. So the music was a piece of music called Lonely Angel by Peter Disbast, which I've loved for a long time. So I have my favorite pieces of music. I like him a lot. I've used his music a few times in the last few years. And I thought this was the right moment. It's a meditation for violin, he calls it. So the meditation, Zen, and Am-ness, that's where I went into the gym. So I had this piece of music already. All the times, if I'm commissioning the piece of music, there's a lot of other conversations with the composer, with everyone else. What is the concept? What is the idea? And then I think about, I do a lot of task work, improvisations, quite common and things that we do in contemporary dance makers. So to provoke the dancers, to provoke the people in front of me into finding new ways, finding, bringing things that we may not have thought of or that I've not. So it's a very collaborative process. That's what I'm getting to, especially with the dancers. And that's why I like dancers with open mind, so that they're up for a dialogue, for a discussion, to do something and go like, oh my God, what is this? Not taking it, but to be okay with it, to be vulnerable, and for me to also sometimes be able to say, I know where I'm going here, but can you help me? This is what I'm thinking. And they're often so into it and so open to that. So it's very collaborative. In this work, it's interesting because we had one task. Yeah. And then I had all the ideas of things that I was going to do. And all of the sort of things that I was going to do never made sense for this work. Because somehow the dancers were so over-connected physically in time and space and physical connection. And anyone that's seen my work and knows my work, duet making, trios, like anything that's physical contact, I mean, in fact, that's where I tend to, there's often very little unison, but I was like, oh, I'm going to win. That's going to work. And no. The work in a way took a journey, and I followed that journey. And that journey was this one where the dancers are like a constant knot between each other. There is a few moments where they will not connect in terms of touch, but they're extremely connected still until they touch again. So and then I just went with it. It just, okay, that's where we're going. So, okay, I'll let that idea go. Or that idea is not going to be used anymore. And it was very much me and the dancers. I did not leave the stage meaning the studio once. It was like, okay, now the five of us, because of this Am-ness, this idea of being as one, breathing as one, the body, the mind, the physicality. I also had a process of making everything quite like in the moment, like instinctively, impulses. What does it feel now? Where do you want to go? Where is this heading? That I'm asking the dancers, and no, sometimes I will put a piece of music, not the one that I use, but another piece of music on a loop, so that there was no time for people to sort of really think about it. I wanted to feel like when you watch it on Thursday, it's almost improvised, all happening for the first time. It's not, but the way that it's been choreographed, it almost has to be, because of the way that it is. You have to be there for each other. If you're not there for each other, anything could happen.
And what do you hope audiences take away from your piece, or from seeing your work? What do you hope to inspire in your audience?
And you always want the audience to be involved. For me, that's what dance does. Often people who say like, well, what's the meaning? I'm like, what meaning? Like, what meaning? Art, it's there to move us, to make us feel, to make us think, of course, but we all have a different worldview. We would have all had a different day, a different week that, whenever we go and see something, and that will affect us and will make us connect with the work in different ways. And dance, we all understand dance. We all understand the body. It's a body movie. We all have one. So for me, this sense of being moved and being altered in some way, I think that's what dance can do very well. So, and yeah, I guess that's what I want people to feel always with dance.
And it's quite the three pieces are quite different for Ascent. You were, I think, earlier describing, what Ascent meant for you in terms of, the company coming back after, COVID and lockdown. I imagine that audiences will be able to, share in that moment here in Sydney. And then when you go on tour for the company, that must be quite exciting for you.
Absolutely. And look, we have been, in some ways, quite lucky in Australia. That there was moments with dog.
Yeah.
Whatever that means.
Yeah.
And the whole world was falling apart.
Yeah.
My family in Spain, a lot of my other family in the UK, from having been there 20 years and becoming an adult there. So I was living everything, very differently, but also you had to keep going if you could, so that we could continue to, it's a beacon of light in a way to see that things can be okay. So for us, we had moments, we had to cancel tours and so on. But now to finally be able to have Marina, which was something that was postponed, I don't know how many times, and at some point when I go, is this ever going to happen? And I met Marina 20 years ago almost when I was in London and I had my company. She came one day, she was still a dancer and she came to spend some time with me. And then we've met around the world and I've been such an admirer of her work. So to have her in the studio in Sydney, working with the dancers who have been so dedicated to the Sydney Dance Company, and they so deserve in every way to be fed, to be inspired by great artists also. So the meeting of minds and bodies of someone like Marina, who's been, years of dedicating herself to her work and her craft and her vision, to see her working with the dancers of the company and what they have created. And also Marina, she decided to work with an entire Australian creative team. Nick Wells is made the music, and they had worked before together, though, with Ian Ograbaden, so that's a nice connection there. And Lauren Bincard, who is a visual designer from Australia, also because Marina works a lot with sets and elements of set. But I was like, as you do in the Spanish, darling, with a very Spanish accent, darling, I want to do this work. And in Australia, we have big theaters and we have small theaters. And we're going to go to Davao, and we're going to go to Hobart, and we're going to go to, like everywhere in the country. So it needs to fit. And she's really beautifully and intelligently used these objects, elements, that are cloth, that are there, but are beautiful and move and morph. So it's everything that she is, but also very intelligently. It's that thing about limitations in a way, allow the mind to be freer in so many ways. So they've created something that's just so moving and powerful and beautiful. And then, of course, Antony Hamilton, it won, I don't know if I've said this earlier, but it won Best Choreography at the Hellman's Award. So it has had already a recognition from the industry, which is really beautiful and wonderful. And the dancers are just like, I see them every day. I work with them every day. But the other night in camera, after opening night, because I've been seeing like rehearsals of Forever and Ever, then I go and see a Marina whenever I could, they have rehearsals while I was making my own rehearsal, and we were getting the repertoire that's going to be happening, or the repertoire on the two. So there's been a lot going on. And then suddenly it was the first time that we did it together in Canberra at the theatre, and it's a blockbuster of a program. And the dancers, they're just so skilled and focused and powerful and virtuosic, and the work is so different. And it's not an easy task to actually be able to switch. So I was like, they never cease to impress me. And that's something that I told them on opening night. I'm saying it now. So I'm recording it out. I'm so proud of them. I'm so fortunate to be able to work with such an incredible, group of dancers. And I don't know what made them Australian or not. But what I know is that, we often talk about Australian being very far. And what I know is that every choreographer that has come here to work in the company, Marina said to me, they give me 300%. They've been giving me 300%. Even in the theater, I think the last day they're looking at me, they're taking the information, they're doing it. There is not one moment of anyone even just not being there. And that just made me really, really proud because, we love what we do. It's hard work, of course, but it's important, and we should, give it a...
Wow, can't wait to see it. So after 15 years, almost 15 years as artistic director, what's next for the company and for you, both as a, career?
I've signed another fine.
Oh,
so,
right.
that was announced recently. And I'm really looking forward to that for a few reasons. One of them is, as you know, we had to vacate the wharf for 2 years. So we were in other premises for 2 years, and then COVID came. So all of the time that we had, we should have been planning what to do here. We were surviving in COVID. So we have a space, we have a small theater. It's small, it's intimate, but it's important. It's called the Nielsen Studio. It has a 79 seater that you can recharge. We can do it in the round. Like I said, it's not that huge, but it's ours. We have started programming the work of independent choreographers that are not with the company members. We did our first season last year called Am-ness, and we had dance choreographers coming from Melbourne, from WA, from New South Wales. Next year's program will be announced soon, and it's a 2-week, a feast of great contemporary dance by independent makers. And there's so many, and there isn't that many venues. There's an issue. I'm just going to leave it there.
Yeah.
So we now have one where we can support the dance community. And I always saw the singing dance community as, we have this amazing building. Yeah. So we have to absolutely be supporting and be like looking after in whichever way we can. And they want to be part of too, the dance ecology in Sydney, of course, New South Wales, and in Australia as much as we can.
Yeah,
because we should. So there's a big bit of work to be done there. and I hope that that can become bigger and better. At the moment we can do 2 weeks. We got some funding from the city of Sydney, and we got some philanthropic support because it was so successful. And how much more can we do? Can we have a resident artist one day? Can we have, all of these things? We started, this year is the 10th anniversary of New Breed, which is the platform for Australian dance makers that create work for the dancers. Often in Rambert, which is how I started, used to be only company members. And what I did coming to Australia is I realized how much harder it is for people here. There's less support, there's less money, so it's harder. So how can I do that? So company members do get to make more, but every year select 2 to 3 independent makers. That's only 10th anniversary, and it's going to get bigger. And then PPY, it's only 10th anniversary. So 10 years ago, we started our pre-professional year. It started with one cohort, one course. Now it's 2 years. So it's a 2-year course with 60 students from Australia. We were going to have our first international intake in 2020, and then they have to go home. So since then we moved back to the world. So, and also coming out of COVID, look, we were lucky, very lucky. I also will say this, that the government in Australia really supported us, and we were able to keep the dancers employed, and, we were able to continue to function, and that's great. So, but now there's going to be a big push for us to get back into the rhythm of things. This year we were able to go, last year we went to France in March. So we bought the tickets in February. The borders opened in January. We were the first Australian ensemble. I think individual artists, singers and so on were able to leave, but as a group of 25 people, while there was still a lot of restrictions and so on, and we did Paris, Lyon, and a couple of other places in France. We did a cancel show. We survived it, and it was incredible. So I feel like the next 5 years, no, maybe not. The next year will be to continue to get back to the rhythm of things. So then for the next 3, because I've already done 1 of the 5, I can just really set the company out for whatever it is that's next. That's going to be,
That sounds absolutely fantastic. So one of my favorite questions that I love to end on, particularly with your incredible career, both as a dancer and a creator and artistic director and curator, what advice would you give to other aspiring contemporary dancers or contemporary dance artists who'd love to become a choreographer? Are there any sort of words of wisdom that you live by, or anything that you would love to pass on to those dancers who are listening?
Look, I feel, for me, the way that it's worked out, there is a point where you clock that you will have your own journey that will be very different from everybody else's journey. So when I was a wannabe choreographer with my dreams of doing this and that, and I have been working with these amazing people, like that, like, I don't know, or the ones that I had not worked with, I admired, and I wanted to be like this, I wanted to be like that. And then suddenly you're like, well, actually, no, maybe my journey is meant to be a different one. And, we've not talked about it, but I had my beautiful chapter with Tiny Nog. That was something that at the time wasn't happening at all with the contemporary dance making world. It then sort of popped up a little bit, as we know, but it was quite like, well, shall I do this, shall I not? And I was like, you know what? I'm really dying to do this. And right now, at the time then, I don't know if I would ever be a contemporary dance maker, but I really want to work in dance and choreography. So let's give this a go. And it was a move that was maybe an unexpected one and so on, but it was the one that really gave me the confidence to continue to do and to find who I was. You have to stay curious. You have to stay open as a choreographer. You have to practice. And for me, because I was open to, someone gave me a gig in a town hall, I did it. Someone gave me a gig in a church, I did it. Someone gave me a pop gig, I did it. And from all of it, I learned. And now I'm running, one of Australia's leading dance companies, which was always what I wanted to do. But everything else got me to this point. You don't just become an artistic director. You don't. Just, I had my company, and I did my own posters, and I did my marketing, and I together with my producer, we did it all, and you sort of learn and build the blocks, and then you see if it's meant to be, it's meant to be. And yeah, that's, I guess, the advice.
That's wonderful advice. Thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate it. I know how busy you are this week, so thank you very much. And I just want to give a little plug. So for audiences and visitors in Sydney, make sure that you catch Sydney Dance Company's Ascent, which is on at the Sydney Opera House from the 15th to the 26th of March. And then the company goes on a national tour from May to August. So check out the company's website and socials for all the dates and information. Thank you so much, Rafael.
Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure.